Welcome to the next part of my Elite Dangerous for Beginners combat series. Um, I'm now ready to move on to the next ship. Just a quick recap. We started off on the Sidewinder, just went to a high resource extraction site to see what went on there and fly the thing about, practice firing the weapons. Part two was getting a Diamondback Scout, which is a good first combat ship. And we went back to went to a low resource extraction site, tried it out there, found you could blow up just about everything because none of them fought back. So then went to a high resource extraction site and had a bit of fun there, practicing moving the pips and putting the throttle in the blue zone when you wanted to turn fast. And now we're ready to go to the next stage with a proper combat ship. Now, the one I've chosen is the Vulture. And the Vulture is probably the best combat ship for learning. There's a couple of other new ships now which come close, but what's special about the Vulture is its very powerful thrusters, and that's the thing we want to practice using in this one. So we need to consolidate what we learned the other one about pit movement, throttle in the blue zone. This one we're going to concentrate on using the up and down thrusters and the side to side ones, mainly the up and down ones. And we use those to get better position to shoot the opposing ship. Um, I'm at the moment I'm dealing with unengineered ships. Now the Vulture is one of the few unengineered ships that can more or less hold its own in the right hands. Um, for most ships, there's some you're not going to beat an elite Federal assault ship or an elite Fer de Lance. They're still too good. I mean, if you're really skilled, you've got a chance at them, and it's not 100% because they behave differently each time. But like anything up to a python, you can kill. If the police are involved, you can kill anything. And but if you're on your own, you'll have to practice the techniques and see how good at you are. Um, Once it comes to engineering, it's you can use literally any ship you like because you can engineer them in different ways to have different advantages and disadvantages. But I'm not doing engineering just yet. I'm going to mention it maybe at the end or something like that. But this is for beginners who haven't had a chance to unlock engineering. So what I would do if you're interested in combat is work your way up, practice with the Vulture, and then go and do your engineering. And properly engineered, the Vulture is deadly and a lot of fun. But if you just want an I-win ship, you know, even I don't know, a Chieftain, Anaconda, the ultimate is the Federal Corvette. That's virtually impossible to get blown up in one of those if you fully engineered it, against NPCs. Now, if you want to do PvP, slightly different. You need to practice a lot. There's a lot of advanced combat techniques you need to do. You'd be better off to go into there's some through the forum. You can find some proper PvP combat schools, and they'll show you everything how to be successful in PvP. Um, right, so I just want to run through the layout now and what's most important. As ever with a combat ship, you cannot compromise on the thrusters or the power distributor. They're the first things. And if you do any engineering on a ship to make it better for combat, those are the two things you want to concentrate on first, then the shields. Don't, I mean, everything helps, but don't go for the weapons first. That makes very little difference. These things make a big difference. And then what you find is after you've optimized your thrusters, you need more power. So then you've got to do the power plant to get the power you need for it. Then you do the shields and you need more power. And so you go round and round like that with the engineering until you've got everything up to the maximum. Uh, right, so they're the main things. Life support's still 3D. Now, the Vulture has one weak point, and that's its canopy. It gets blown out very quickly, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. So your life supports give you 7.5 minutes. So you need to be able to get to a station in case of canopy getting blown out, you need to be able to get the station within 7.5 minutes. So that's not all possible. So you have to be careful about where you're fighting. So in some places, the station might be like 5,000 light seconds away, in which case it's going to be marginal. Like with one anything up to 1,000 light seconds, you won't have any trouble at all. And where I'm going to be doing it, it's only 93 light seconds away, so you won't need that life support. So 3D is fine, and it's the lightest. And then the sensors, again, with this type of combat, like bounty farming and dealing with NPCs things, uh, the further you can see, the better. But the other weak point of the Vulture is it's very limited on power, and so we can't have A class ones. We just haven't got enough power for those. We'd have to compromise on something else. There are a few different builds you can do for the Vulture, and they all work. Some people like to have a multi cannon in this one, and that works well if you're doing like, I don't know, 20-minute play sessions or something like that. There's no disadvantage to that. What happens is the multi cannon runs out of ammo after about 20 minutes, so you've got to come back and rearm it, like fill up your ammo again. Whereas with pulse lasers, you can stay out as long as you want, and they're adequate. Uh, Other people, burst lasers are awesome, but they make you run them much hotter. They also drain your capacitor very quickly, so you can't shoot them for so long, and you haven't got enough power with this loadout, so you've got to compromise then on the thrusters or the shield boosters. You have to swap things out. Another thing that works, a lot of people choose on a Vulture, is a single beam laser and a multi cannon. As I said, that works well for like 20-minute spells. The burst laser does make the ship run very hot, so that's another disadvantage there. And so you need heat sinks, and then you got to compromise on something else. So I've used this one a lot, and it works fine, especially for beginners. So I would stick with this. It's nice and easy. You can stay out there as long as you want, and it's fairly safe. Right. So then we come to the shield again for multiple kills, like res farming and conflict zones and things like that. The bi-weave shields are better because of the faster charging. And I said before, it gives you more shield, so like hit points overall, because between salvos of incoming fire, they recharge a bit each time. Whereas if you've got the 5A ones, not only do they use more power, so then you've got to compromise on something else, but they just go down and down and down. They don't recharge fast enough. So eventually you have to take a rest, run away for a bit and give the shields a chance to charge up. And they do take quite a long time to charge up. The other really important thing with a Vulture, remember I mentioned about the canopy getting blown out, is to fill it up with module reinforcements. And that, as far as I can see, protects it. I've never had the canopy blown out since I've done this. Could be just a coincidence, but I don't think so. So I would recommend you do it like this, not hull reinforcements. You could put some hull reinforcements in these one slots if you want, but it doesn't make a big difference. The Vulture, because of its good thrusters and its lightweight, you can load it up with anything. It doesn't really affect the speed and the agility. So you don't have to worry about these in the smaller ships like the Viper. And I don't know about the Diamondback Scout. I think it is the same. If you put them in those, your speed goes down all the time. And I always think speed is much more useful than strength. But that's just my opinion. Right now, so we haven't got enough power even for this loadout. As you see here, where it's 101%. So we need to do a bit of power management. But of course, we're not going to use the cargo hatch, so you can switch that off. Now, if you wanted a docking computer, for instance, you won't have enough power for that. Then Flightus standard docking computer. Oh yeah, we just got enough for that. If you wanted one, um, it's up to you. I'm going to take it out. Oops. Um, So you can still do that, but I'm just trying to think what else could you have. Uh, there isn't really anything. But if you went a bit higher on power, what you can do is on the frameshift drive, make it a lower priority than the other things. And what would happen then is that it would go off automatically when you brought your weapons out. So, and you couldn't charge up your frameshift drive until your weapons are put away. But here's the drawback. There's a delay. It takes some time, a boot up time for the frameshift drive before it'll start charging. From when you switch it on, it takes, I don't know, a minute or something like that. So in the case of you're trying to escape from somebody, is blown out. You're fighting, and he blows out various things. You think, Christ, I'm losing this. I better get out of there. You run away, but you can't get your frameshift drive going because it's offline. So you've got to switch it on and then wait. And all that time, the other guy's chasing you. If he's faster than you, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. While with it online all the time, it's quite quick to get away. So I I tend to make sure I've got enough power to keep the frameshift drive on. But if you wanted to go for the burst lasers, I think you have to do 5C thrusters and um, set it so that the frameshift drive goes off when you get your weapons out, something like that. So there's a few options and things there that you can do with the Vulture. And this is how I have it. Right. So as I showed you before, there's this tool here, stations that sell this build, very useful. So in case you didn't look at my previous video, this is Coriolis.io. We can play about with ship loadouts. That gives you all the data about these. You can do other things. Um, let's just have a look at the weapons while we're here. So 2 pulse lasers. You can see that they're very effective up to 400 meters, and then they start to tail down. So by the time we get to 1,000 meters, it's starting to make a bit of a difference. So you need to be quite close up to use them. You can land shots up to 3,000, but if you're like, in this distance from them, you're hardly going to do any damage. So it's always worth firing them because you're going to, at least you're doing some damage. But you can see the difference between here being close up and being far away. And it's the same with the hull damage. They do quite a bit of hull damage, if you close up. Um, Here's the maneuverability if you want to look at that and compare it with other ships. So if we've set ourselves against, let's say, a Python, a stock Python, that one, and then you look at a fence, we can kill the Python in, where is it? We'll remove shields 23 seconds, remove armor in 49 seconds. It's going to take of continuous shooting to kill the Python's hull. That's quite a bit, but there's a way around that. When we come to do the combat, I'll show you that when we get out there. So it's 49, nearly a minute to. Well, it's more than a minute, isn't it? Hang on, let's where's 23, 60, a minute and 12 seconds to kill the Python of continuous firing. That's just a normal Python. And then when you look at how quickly the Python can kill you, shields will hold for 43 seconds and armor will hold for a minute. So if you just went head to head and were just blasting each other continuously, you're going to win. But your armor's going to be well down. You're going to have to go back for repair. So you can go head to head with a Python with this build. So you can play about with that with different ships, see what you do. But don't forget, all Pythons aren't stock. There's if you go up against an elite one, he might last a bit longer. And where we're going, they're all the upper rank. So don't go by this. I'll just give you that as an example. Right. So anyway, where did we go? Ship stations that sell this ship. There it is. You just put where are. We're in LTT 15574, and then you click this one here. You can't just leave it, enter it. You've got to click what it's found, and then find stations. And here we go. Julian Gateway in Malloc has got it. So let's go and have a quick look at it. Right, so here I am in Julian Gateway, Malloc, done it all. You see that I've got the exactly as I've laid it out in the what I just showed you. And here's the reinforcements packages, the bi-weave shield. So let's coming over. Let's have a look at the modules first of all. I've done a little bit of priorities now. We didn't need those with the other ships really. I mean, it does always help. So if you look at the right hand column, the priority there, that it affects how likely they are to take damage when you come under fire. So the things with the lowest priority tend to take the more damage. But there's lots of ifs and buts of that. So only a general thing. So generally the things that are absolutely essential for escaping and just the well-being of your ship want to be on priority one. Uh, Other things like weapons and things, you know, you can put on priority two, and anything that's like pretty well useless, you can put on priority three. So I got my cargo hatch on priority three. I don't care if I lose that because I've got no cargo. So that's the general idea. But I've put my chaffs on a level three as well. So actually, I want to now put that on level four. Whoops. And what the only problem with that is that you do start to lose chaffs, after a few fights and things, especially if they're a bit tough. So, and of course, you need your chaff. But if it's not them, they're going to go for your weapons, and then the lasers will start going off by themselves when they take too much damage. You don't normally see it, but if you look in the health column, everything's 100% at the moment. But after a few battles, those things will go down and down depending on what weapons the other guys use. So normally, once you've lost your shields, all these things start taking damage. But there's also engineered weapons that the NPCs use that can bleed through your shields, and and so you lose a few percent, like after each battle. So it's worth keeping an eye on those from time to time. And if ever your lasers start firing by themselves, you usually get warning messages during the fight. I can't remember what the message says, but it says your lasers um, taken damage. Or it doesn't say that. It gives you a clue that it's compromised. So and then the next thing you know, you'll see weird effects going on. So if you get that, you really want to go back to the station and get repaired, because if you're not careful, you'll be pointing at a police ship, and suddenly it'll go off, and you'll have a bounty on you. So just be careful of that. Right. So that's that. Well, fire groups is pretty straightforward now because we've only got two lasers. Whoops, how did I jump that? So just the two lasers in group one, and I've put the discovery scanner in on a second trigger. The chaff I've put on a separate button because I always have the chaff on the same button regardless of my ships. That's just how I have it. So you could put your chaff on too and not use the discovery scanner, but that's up to you how you do that. So there's nothing complicated there. Obviously, if you had the beam laser and multi-cannon, you'd have to use them separately. So you'd use the beam lasers to take down the shields, then switch to the um, multi-cannon to finish off the hull. And so you'd have them on triggers one and two, or you could use fire groups. And the way the fire groups work is You know, you can have a different arrangement in this one. Say I only wanted one, you know, I could even have three like that, so that in one fire group I've got the left laser, and in the other group I've got the other laser. So you have a button for fire groups. Each time you press it, it advances one, so it goes A B C A B C A B C like that. But you wouldn't want that in this. But if you're using like multiple weapons, you know, you've got missiles, multi cannons, and beam lasers and things, and you want to use them separately, or plasma rail guns, anything like that, and you want to use fire groups, that's how they work. But you need to know how they work, um, and you need to practice it when you're in battle. Keep changing fire groups to the ones you want. You have to do that when you're mining normally, because you need one fire group for using all your scanners and stuff to find the mining fields, and then when you get there, you want a different fire group um, to do the mining. And so the way it works is just each time you click one of these, um, they advance one, two, zero, and if it's nothing and there's nothing in a column, the it always leaves one empty column there, so you can fill up the next one. So if I put anything in there, then another column comes up. When it goes back to zero, the other column disappears. So there's only one fire group, even though there's two columns there. Right, so that's it. We're ready to go now and try it out.